In this lesson, we are going to make this gorgeous crystal V necklace. The required materials are 62 4mm Bicon style Swarovski crystal beads 5301, 65 5mm Bicon style Swarovski crystal bead 5301, 24 6mm Swarovski crystal Bicon beads. This time I'm going to use crystal AB beads for 3 different sizes. This color is very pretty and it will reflect any color that you wear. So this necklace will be perfect for any outfit. Then you need 114 sterling silver 2mm round beads, then 2 crumb shells, 2 crimp beads, 2 jump rings, and 1 lobster clasp. You can also use the spring ring, but since this will be very gorgeous necklace, I want to make the lobster clasp for this time. And also we are going to make our own extender using this 4mm link sterling silver chain, which is 2 inches long, and 1 of this 5mm Swarovski crystal. Then normally when we weave the beads, we use the monofilament string, but since this is very simple weaving, plus we are going to use a lot of Swarovski crystal beads to make this piece, so we are going to use very fine coated stainless steel wire, which is Beading 0.01 0.010 size, and you need a 65 inches long of this wire, then flash cutter and 2 chain nose pliers. First, using this wire, pick up the 1 crimp bead, then bring it to the center of this wire. Then, holding this crimp bead right here, pick another one side of the wire and go through the hole of the crimp bead like this. Then pull this wire. Like this. Then, using the chain nose plier, crimp this bead. After that, you can see the hole right here. Pick either side of the string, then pass through this hole. This way, the strings are coming out to the same direction. Then, putting 2 strings together like this, then pass through the center hole of the crumb shell like this. You can use GS Hype cement to secure this part, but it should be secure enough since we are using the stainless wire. You can go without the cement. So I just close this crumb shell using the generous plier. Then now we are going to start the weaving. First, put some of 2mm sterling silver round beads and 4mm beads in front of you. Then pick one 2mm round bead and pass through both of the strings, pass through this 2mm bead. Then 4mm bead, then another 2mm bead. Then it should look like this. Then we will start weaving. So hold the wires like this with right string, one 4mm bead, one 2mm round bead, one 4mm bead. Pick the same in same order with the left string, one 4mm, one 2mm, one 4mm bead. Then pick one 2mm bead with your right string and pass the left string through it. This time we are using the wire and the very long length wires, so sometimes it's easy to get tangled, so please be gentle to pull the wire. After that, it should look like this. Then we will repeat the same thing one more time. One 4mm, two 4mm bead. Same thing with your left string. One 4mm, 2mm, $4mm. Then pick one 2mm round bead with your right string, then pass the left string through it. Now your pattern should look like this. Please repeat same pattern 5 more times. I just finished same pattern 5 more times, total of 7 times. And before you move on to the next step, please make sure there's no extra wire showing up, or the pattern, if pattern is too tight, you need to make it even and make a little bit more space, but the wire can't show out at all. Now you only need 2 more 4mm beads in front of you. Then we will start using the 5mm bicon beads. All you need to do is just to pick one 4mm beads, then 2mm round beads, and then 5mm bicon bead with right string. Do the same thing with your left string. One 4mm, one 2mm round bead, then 5mm bicon bead, then pick one 2mm round bead, and then pass the left string through. Now your motif should look like this. Then you're going to repeat the same pattern using the 5mm beads 7 more times. I just show you the first pattern again. One 5mm, one 2mm round, one 5mm, then one 5mm, one 2mm, and then one 5mm. Then pick one 2mm round bead with your right string, then pass the left string through it. So I just made one pattern just using the 5mm beads. So please go ahead and make 6 more of this pattern using the 5mm beads. I just repeated total of 7 times of the same pattern using the 5mm beads, and now all you need is 2 more 5mm bicon beads in front of you. Then we will move on to using 6mm Swarovski Crystal beads. Same as we did a little while ago, we're gonna get the one 5mm bead, one 2mm bead, one 6mm bead with your right string. Do the same thing with your left string. One 5mm bead, one 2mm round bead, the one 6mm bead, then pick one round bead with your right string, then pass through the left string. After that, it should look like this. Then you are going to make 2 more patterns just using 6mm beads. After you make 2 patterns using 6mm beads, now we are going to make this V part. So what we need to do is pick one side of the string, then pick one 6mm bead, one 2mm round bead, 6mm bead, 1 2mm bead, then pick one more 6mm bicon bead, and now you have 5 beads on your right string. Then using the left string, pick one 6mm bead, then pick one 2mm bead with your right string, then pass the left string through it. This will be this V part of the necklace. Now you will do the same thing backwards what you have done for the first half. So you need to make 2 patterns using the 6mm bead like this. 6mm bicon bead, round beads, 6mm bead, and you made a first pattern, and then you make one more pattern using the 6mm bead. I made 2 same patterns, so I only have 2 more 6mm beads. So bring out the 5mm beads in front of you, pick 6mm bead, one round bead, and pick 5mm bead. Then do the same thing with your left string, one 6mm bead, one 2mm bead, one 5mm bead, then pick one 2mm bead with your right string, then pass the left string through it. You will keep making the same pattern using 5mm beads, and you will need to have one 5mm bead left after you finish the whole pattern. We're going to use this 5mm beads to make an extender later. So repeat the same pattern 7 more times. That means you will have 2 5mm beads and 1 5mm bead left in front of you after that. I just finished 7 times of the same pattern. Then I have 3 beads left. 1 will be for the extender, so I will put it aside. Then bring out all of the rest of 4mm bicon beads. Then pick one 5mm bead, 2 round bead, 1 4mm bead with your right string. Same thing with your left string. 1 5mm bead, 1 2mm round bead, 1 4mm bead. Then pick up the 2mm round bead with your right string, and pass the left string through it. After that, you are going to repeat the same pattern using 4mm bicone beads, total of 7 times. Now, I finished the 6th time of the same pattern, and this will be the 7th pattern. But this time, instead of passing through this direction, we're gonna pass the left string from the bottom of the 2mm bead. Like this. So both of the strings are coming out from this 2mm round bead. Then we have one of each 4mm bicone bead and 2mm round bead left in front of us. So pick 4mm bead with 2 strings together and pass through the last 2mm bead with 2 strings like this. Then bring out the crumb shell and crimp bead. Pass the 2 strings through the crumb shell from the bottom. Then pass through the crimp bead, both 2 strings. Then we are going to crimp bead here, but you need to make sure there's no space in between the beads, no wire showing. After you make sure that is okay, you can crimp the bead with chain nose plier. Make sure you crimp the crimp bead very secure. Then for the security, we're gonna tie the square knot here. Then you can close this crumb shell like this. Of course, you can use the hypo cement here also. After close the crumb shell using the flash cutter, cut the both sides of the wire like this. Then we are going to put the clasps, but before that, let's make an extender using this 4mm links, sterling silver chain, and 5mm bicone crystal bead, and the sterling silver head pin. I'm going to use the 1 inch long pin, but you can use, if you have much shorter one, you can use that too. So all you need to do is just to put the Swarovski crystal bead on the pin and cut the pin after you bent 90-degree angle. Then make a loop using the round nose plier. Then using the up and down motion, using the chain nose plier and up down motion, and open the loop. Put the edge of the link of the chain and close the link. It's easy to make your own extender, and in this time it will match to the material that used for the making necklace. So after that, all you need to do is using 2 chain nose pliers, opening the jump ring, then put this extender to the chrome shell, then using the other jump ring, open it, and then put the lobster clasp to the other side of the chrome shell, and then now you just made a pretty Crystal V necklace. And then this time what I made is about 17 inches long, but if you adjust the time of how many times you weave this first 4mm pattern, you can make it longer or shorter. So you can change whatever you want to make the perfect length for you. And also I want to show you another pattern, another sample that they're using the same pattern. I used jet black Swarovski crystals and hematite beads in 2mm to make this black necklace, and this will be very pretty too. Those will be perfect for the weddings or very special occasions, and it's not difficult to make, so I hope you will enjoy it.